Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Sutta Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Sutta Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Sutta Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Sutta
Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta
Ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Sutta Karuna karo he baro Karuna karo he baro Narottama dasa koi Nate ranga pa Tamadasa koi na deva ranga pa Toma vine ke ache ama 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 Hari Hari bifale jan Hari Hari bifale janama Goainu Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashrota Shri Srimad Abhayacharanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashrota Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur Shri Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Jagannath Puri ki Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulasi Devi ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki taking over the word with Shri Prabhupada Science and Book Distribution Diversion Farm Communities ki all glory to some devotees all glory to some devotees all glory to some devotees all glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga all glory to Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 13 Text number 26. Okay. 3:13:26. Okay. teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtiḥ brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam guṇa-anuvādam vinadya bhūyaḥ vibudha udayāya gajendra-līlaḥ jalam āviveśa teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa. Please repeat.
teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo
Vibudhodayāya.
gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa
teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa
satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir
teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir
brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam
brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam
vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya
vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya
gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa
gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa.
Aunties, please.
teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam
vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya
gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa
teṣāṁ of them satāṁ the great devotees veda all knowledge veda-vitāna-mūrtiḥ the form of expansion brahma Vedic sound avadhārya knowing it well ātma of himself guṇa-anuvādam transcendental glorification vinadya resounding bhūyaḥ again vibudha of the transcendentally learned udayāya for the elevation of benefit gajendra-līlaḥ playing like an elephant jalam the water āviveśa entered Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Purport. The form of the Lord in any shape is always transcendental and full of knowledge and mercy. The Lord is the destroyer of all material contamination because his form is personified Vedic knowledge. All the Vedas worship the transcendental form of the Lord. In the Vedic mantras, the devotees request the Lord to remove the glaring effulgence because it covers his real face. That is a version of the Isha Upanishad. The Lord has no material form, but his form is always understood in terms of the Vedas. The Vedas are said to be the breath of the Lord, and that breath was inhaled by Brahma, the original student of the Vedas. The breathing from the nostril of Brahma caused the appearance of Lord Boar, and therefore the boar incarnation is a personified Vedas. The glorification of the incarnation by the sages on the higher planets consisted of factual Vedic hymns. Whenever there is glorification of the Lord, it is understood that Vedic mantras are being rightly vibrated. The Lord was therefore pleased when such Vedic mantras were chanted, and to encourage his pure devotee, he rode once more and entered the water to rescue the submerged earth. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmetam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tafadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishamamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vandavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Hari Janagana Badi Gnana Karmanda Hari Prakritita Para Bhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinay Nikara Lakshmi Nimna Medera Gamyo Bhuvijayate Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadne Lakshmi Yasya Javakshase Yasyasya Hidaye Samvitam Rasamham Ambaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karti Vachalam Pangam Langaite Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasya Te Katita Hyarta Prakashante Mahatmanaha teṣāṁ satāṁ veda-vitāna-mūrtir brahmāvadhāryātma-guṇānuvādam vinadya bhūyo vibudhodayāya gajendra-līlo jalam āviveśa. So we see that Sri Prabhupada is speaking about how that the form of the Lord is always transcendental and is full of mercy. Actually, what's amazing is I was asked to give a class in ISKCON of Philadelphia, and they gave me the exact same verse to speak on. They said this verse. So I was reading the Sanskrit. I was like, oh wait, I think I've read this before. Like, oh no, I just gave a class on this verse just recently. When we were in Philadelphia, God knows when was it? Last week, something like that, on Saturday. Last Saturday, huh? Yeah, Lord Varaha has mercy on this fallen conditioned soul. So this Prabhupada is speaking about the form of the Lord in any shape is always transcendental and full of knowledge and mercy. So we can understand there's a really ecstatic verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Canto 1, Chapter 11. I don't know if anyone wants to pull that up. Canto 1, Chapter 11. Let's see. It's verse number 38. Yeah, 38, sorry. 1:11:38. Etat ishanam ishasya prakriti stopi dhat gunai nayudyate dadatmaste yata buddhi sad ashraya. So this verse says, this is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. So this is the point. the godness of God is that He is never affected by material modes of nature. That is why Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahma bhuta prasannatma, that's right, nasochati na kanshati, samat sarveshu bhuteshu, mad bhaktim labhate padam. What does that mean?
One is situated on the Brahma Buddha platform. They don't hang lament.
Right.
They're friends of everyone, or they look at everyone equally.
Mad bhaktim labhate padam. Right. And then also, there's this other words. Mam shayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma-bhūyaḥ kalpate. So when you perform devotional service in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you attain His qualities. You get His qualities. You attain the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why in the form of the Lord, in any shape, is always transcendental and full of knowledge and mercy. The Lord is a destroyer of all material contamination. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, glorifying the supreme purity of the Supreme Lord. What does He say? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam, Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhu. Arjuna glorifies Krishna, says, Param Brahma. You're the topmost. What did we just read in this verse? The word Brahma means Vedic knowledge. We just said it. Brahma, Vedic sound. So Param Brahma, Param Dhama. Krishna is the supreme transcendental Dhamma, the supreme transcendental abode. Param Brahma, Param Dhama. Pavitram, pure. Paramam Bhavan. Purusham Shashvatam. You're eternally the person. Purusham Shashvatam. And what kind of person? Divyam. You're an eternally transcendental person. So any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always transcendental, full of knowledge, and full of mercy. Whether it's the Vaibhava expansions or the Prakash expansions or whatever expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're actually transcendental. Whatever form the Supreme Lord decides to take. That's why Bhavatyatyesh Satvena Lokan Vailoka Bhavanaha Leelavatara Devatiryan Naradishuhu. This is 1-32. Whoever is the DJ can pull it up. So the last verse of the second chapter, all the way, yes, you can get 34. Okay. So in this verse, there you go. You can please read the translation. Okay. The Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, He performs pastimes to reclaim all those in the mode of pure goodness. So this is the point. The Supreme Personality of Godhead reclaims those in the mode of pure goodness. Why? This is a very important point to understand. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. This means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is on the platform of what sattva? Shuddha sattva. Another name? Vasu. Vasudeva sattva, right? So that's why Krishna's father also, his name is? That's right. Maybe we'll say Vasudeva. No, it's Vasudeva. Krishna is called Vasudeva because he is son of Vasudeva. This is a platform of transcendental goodness that you cannot be affected by the lower modes of material nature. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in any form that He takes, He is always transcendental. He is always transcendental. And we can understand this point. It's a very important point. Etat ishanam ishasya prakriti stopi tadgunai na yujyate tadatmaster yata buddhis sadashrayah. Then, this is the godness of God, is that He is never affected. Etat ishanam ishasya. What makes Isha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What is the ishanam of the Ishvara? What is the godness of God? Etat ishanam ishasya. What is the godness of God? Prakriti stopi tadgunai. He is never affected by the three modes of material nature. So that is why the form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always transcendental. Bhagavatatula murto prema sampattishali pratihita tadavagno nyakritatvaita kumbhi. So we understand that the great devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are extremely averse to those people who state that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not a person, who state that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually, His form is not transcendental. They're extremely averse to such people. Bhagavatatula murto prema sampattishali. So we understand that the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always full of knowledge and full of mercy. Therefore, when we meditate upon the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all inauspicious things are destroyed. Avismritistva charanaravindayo shanam apno... I'm forgetting this word. How am I forgetting this word? Avismritistva charanaravindayo shinota badhyani chasham tan shanoti sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim jnanam ta vijnana viraga yuktam. So we understand that meditation upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always transcendent, is always rewarding to the living entity. Avismrititva charanaravindayo. Right? Because shanota badrani chasham chanoti. Because the meditation upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead removes all inauspicious things. Chasham chanoti. Sattvasya shuddhim. That's why. So now, what does the word sattva mean? Right? What else? No, not truth. No. That's right. Where did you get that from? Mukundatta Prabhu? Or? Yeah, he gave a class here and Mukundatta Prabhu trumped us all with that, sattva. And there's one verse also, which I remembered from the Bhagavad Gita, where sattva is used in the term of existence. Anyone can remember? Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavastitihi. Right? So we see that those whose sattva, those whose existence is samshuddhir, those whose existence is completely purified, they are fearless. Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavastitihi. So we see why is the existence of the pure devotees completely purified? Is completely purified. Why? Because they are constantly meditating upon this form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the reason why. It's inconceivable, but that's actually the reason. When we meditate upon the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord, He preserves what you have and He carries what you lack. Right? Ananya shintayantuma Ajana paripasate teṣāṁ nityabhyuktānam yogakshemam vahāmyaham. Krishna always preserves what you have and He carries what you lack. Right? So, this is very important. The Lord is the destroyer of all material contamination because His form is personified knowledge. Krishna's form itself is transcendental knowledge. That's why Veda, it is transcendental. Krishna's form is personified knowledge. And now, if you look at the purport from today's verse, if you look at it, Prabhupada uses what I thought was transcendental logic. Right? Now look at this logic of Srila Prabhupada, okay? So over here, okay, the Vedas is said to be the breath of the Lord, and that breath was inhaled by Brahma. Okay, fine. The breathing from the nostril of Brahma caused the appearance of Lord Boar, and here comes in the transcendental logic, and therefore the Boar incarnation of the Lord is a personified Vedas. That's transcendental logic, right? Who would have ever thought like that? It must be Prabhupada's genius. Has to be. Right? All the knowledge, Vedic knowledge, it came out from the breathing of Lord Vishnu, and Brahma inhaled that breath. Therefore, he has all the Vedic knowledge, the first Brahmana in the universe. And then because the Lord appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma, then what does that mean? That means that his form is transcendental knowledge. That is called transcendental logic. I would have, it's kind of above the conception of Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena. This is way above. So we see this and we understand this point, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhupada makes this point, all the Vedas worship the transcendental form of the Lord. That is why sometimes people may read the Vedas and they may see that, oh, what is this? The Supreme Lord is not being, He's not being glorified here. He's not being glorified here. So for this, in the Bhagavatam, the answer is, Krishna says, Parokshavada munayo paroksham cha mama priyaha. Where he says that I like to also be glorified in an indirect way also. So when you read the Vedas and it doesn't seem like direct glorification of the Lord, one must understand that it is indirect glorification of the Lord. Paroksham cha mama priyaha. Krishna likes to be glorified in so many, directly, indirectly, Krishna is being glorified. Krishna likes it also. So that's why Prabhupada is making this statement here, that all the Vedas worship the transcendental form of the Lord. So we see in the Vedic mantras, what does Prabhupada say? There's one verse which asks you to ask the Lord to remove his glaring effulgence. What is that? Hiranmayena patena satyasa pihito mukam Right? We're seeing this over here. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead is being requested, my dear Lord, please remove your glaring effulgence so we can see your transcendental form. You can see the transcendental form. So, this is the point we have to understand. The devotees of the Lord request the Lord, remove the glaring effulgence because it covers His real face. And then we understand that Krishna's form is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. Right? This Krishna's form is Satchitananda, is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And because Krishna's form is like this, then when you meditate upon Krishna's transcendental form, you attain that. You attain that. That's why we were in the farm today, and then we went to the woods section of the farm, and there was spiders with big spider webs, and then there's some insects stuck in the spider web. And then Jiva Goswami says, then these insects, right, when they're stuck in the spider web, it's not like they're devoured immediately. These insects are not devoured immediately. What happens is, they feel their life leaving their body as they're stuck in that web, and they see the spider crawling towards them. And then finally the spider eats them. But the whole time that the insect is stuck in that web, what's he meditating on? So then what happens? He becomes a spider in his next life. He becomes a spider in his next life. Because he's constantly meditating upon that. He becomes a spider. Yam yam yapi swaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever you think of at the time of death, that's the form that you'll attain. That's the form. Now we can see, we look at ourselves in the mirror like, dude, what was I thinking at the time of death? How did I, oh man, should have thought of someone better. You look at, damn. You think, you should have thought of something better, right? I say, what's the best thing to think about at the time of death? Antakalesha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. Think of Krishna at the time of death. Antakalesha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. That's it, you're done, you finish. You go back to Godhead. Finish. That is why we should mold our life in such a way that we are always thinking of Krishna. We should mold our life. So how do we think of Krishna? How do we understand? How do we understand the transcendental form, the Supreme Personality of God? And Prabhupada gives a very, very amazing purport. If you could please pull up Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse number 11, the last paragraph of the purport. This is a really amazing purport. This is another arrow in our quiver. Okay. Okay. Performance of yajnas has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. Now look at this. By performance of yajnas, all activities are purified, as stated in the Vedas. Now this is an important shloka. Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. Now here what does sattva mean? Sattva shuddhi, existence, right? Ahara shuddho, so whatever you eat, right? Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. Sattva shuddho, your existence purified. Dhruva smritihi. Smriti labdhe swargatinam vipramokshaha. So sarvagantinam vipramokshaha. By performance of yajnas, one eatables become sanctified. And by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. All these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of the present day society. So that's amazing. So here Prabhupada is saying that even if you only eat Krishna prasadam and you don't eat anything else, it molds your subtle consciousness. It molds your subtle consciousness. And why is Krishna prasadam so potent? Because the person who is cooking the prasadam is thinking about Krishna, thinking about the transcendental form of Krishna. When he's thinking about the transcendental form of Krishna, hearing about Krishna's pastimes and activities, all these things, then all unwanted, inauspicious things from your heart are destroyed. They're destroyed. Therefore, when you take bona fide Krishna prasadam, it's amazing. But by accident, even if you eat one grain of foodstuffs cooked by non-devotees, it immediately affects your consciousness. Immediately. You can just see this. It is right here in Prabhupada's purport. It's such a gem. It just completely, I read the Bhagavad Gita a few times. It just completely slipped my mind, but somehow or the other, this purport revealed itself. So we understand that the Lord has no transcendental form, but His form is always understood in the terms of the Vedas. And that's why, how do you understand the Vedas? What is the process of understanding transcendental knowledge? What's the process? Tad vidhi pranipatena, right? That's why the Brahma Samhita, it says, Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham ātma bhakto. Right? You cannot find Krishna, even if you may read the Vedas, you may not find Krishna if you read the Vedas. But Vedeshu durlabham. Vedeshu durlabham. It may be very hard to find the Supreme Lord through the Vedas. But adurlabham ātma bhakto. But it is possible, it is very easy if you go to someone who's done complete ātma nivedana to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the simple point. That is why, let's see if I can remember the verse number for this. Okay, you can pull up Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's in the 11th chapter. 11th canto, yeah, you're right. 11th canto. Sorry, I'll pull it up. I should know the verse number by now. Okay. I'll just quote it, okay? I don't know the verse number. So, Smaranta smarayantasya mito goga haram harim bhaktya sanjayataya bhaktya. Oh man, I'm forgetting the last line. Bhaktya sanjayataya bhaktya pribhyat utpalakam tanum. That the translation is, the devotees of the Lord constantly discuss the glories of the personality of Godhead amongst themselves. Thus, they constantly remember the Lord and remind one another of His qualities and pastimes. In this way, by their devotion to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, the devotees please the personality of Godhead, who takes away from them everything inauspicious. This is an important point. The devotees please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discussing about Him. Being purified of all impediments, the devotees awaken to pure love of God, and thus, even within this world, their spiritual bodies exhibit symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, such as standing of the bodily hairs on end. So this is an important point, that devotees come together and they discuss the glories of Krishna. And when they discuss the glories of Krishna, that pleases Krishna. And because that pleases Krishna, then their entire material existence is completely nullified. This is the point. We have to understand this. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Right? Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He decides. We understand. That's why there's this name of Lord Vishnu in the Vishnu Sahasranama known as Krita Agama. Krita Agama. So a person who wrote Krita Agama, who wrote all the Agamas. That's the name, the compiler or the maker of scripture. That's the title of the lecture my Guru Maharaj gave. And in this lecture, my Guru Maharaj is speaking about how the Supreme Personality of God, all the knowledge which is present in the breath of Lord Vishnu. Whatever inspiration a person may get, whatever knowledge a person may get, whatever something new a person may get, they're all tapping into the breath of Lord Vishnu. And the great rishis, they are known as mantra drashtas. Why are they known as mantra drashtas? Because they can see the mantras. They can see the certain, when the Supreme Lord is, when he breathes out, the great rishis are able to see certain sections of the Vedas or the certain sections of the Upanishads. They're able to see the mantras, mantra drashta. And when they're able to see that portion of the breath of Lord Vishnu, they're writing down what they see. Therefore, they're known as mantra drashtas. They're able to see. Why? This is the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why when Garuda flaps his wings, what do you hear? Vedic hymns. When Garuda flaps his wings, you hear Vedic hymns. It's amazing. It's all there in the breath of Lord Vishnu. And just by Garuda flapping his wings, you can hear Vedic hymns. This is amazing. This is inconceivable. How the Supreme Lord does all this. How is this possible? How is this possible? But we can understand that the Supreme Personality of God, it's all there in the breath of Mahavishnu. Whatever you need to see, whatever you need to understand, however you need to, whatever knowledge you may have, whatever inspiration you may get, we must understand that sometimes we may be performing some service and we just don't know what to do. But then all of a sudden, Krishna gives you the inspiration. You get the inspiration. And then you're able to do that. It can't be me. There's no way. It's not humanly possible for this to happen. It has to be the inspiration coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about this. So, we see there's one Prabhupada disciple, Srila Prabhupada gave him sannyas. And right after Srila Prabhupada gave him sannyas, he went and he started preaching in South America. And then within 3 years, he opened 25 temples, had a good chunk of Prabhupada's books translated into Spanish, and was the #1 book distributor in the entire world. And he was a GBC, and he was able to do all these things. And I asked him, Maharaj, how did you do this? It's inconsistent. Can you imagine? Okay, we are struggling here to open one center, making sure all the zoning, everything is right, and all this and all that and all this and all that. How does a person open 25 temples, get all the books translated into Spanish, and be the best book distributor in the world? All in the same span of time. How is this possible? And I asked him that. And Maharaj told me, when Srila Prabhupada gave me sannyas, I felt my intelligence just expand. What? What does that mean? What does that mean, Maharaj? And he just told me, this is what I felt, this is what I saw, this is what happened to me. And then when I did it, he told me I was just able to go and do it. And then Prabhupada was so pleased with him. Prabhupada wrote him a letter. And he told him, my dear such and such, he's giving him instructions about, I want you to do this as a GBC. I want you to do this, this, and this. Do this in the temple and all this. And he said, I know that you can personally distribute 1 million books. I know you can personally distribute 1 million books. You personally, not like you can organize, you can arrange, but you personally can distribute 1 million books. And then this, unfortunately, the person is doing different things now. But, he said, when I received that letter and I saw this kind of instruction from the spiritual master, he thought, that would mean I would have to do 200 books every day. If I did 200 books every day and then 6 days of the week and this many in a year, and he did the math, he said, oh, no, this is not possible. How can I do it? It's not possible. And he just didn't do it. He didn't do it. Right? But then I did the math, okay? And had he stuck to his formula, which he jotted down, by 2002, he would have already distributed 1 million books. He would have already done it. Why? Because that empowerment was there. When Srila Prabhupada was there, he gave this person that empowerment to do inconceivable things. How is this possible? Come on, give me a break. 3 years, 25 temples, most of the books translated into Spanish, best book distributor in the world. How is this possible? How is it? Is it humanly possible to do this? No. It is the divine, it's a blessing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a special mercy of the Supreme Lord's great servitor upon a particular person. So, we should understand that the breath of Mahavishnu, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. This is, we cannot understand. We cannot understand how amazing this is. That's why the Bhagavatam says, Vedo Narayana Sakshat. That the Vedas are Narayana himself. Vedo Narayana Sakshat. In the Bhagavatam, 6th canto. Let's see. Which verse is this? Let me see if I can find it. Okay. Can you pull up 6:3:19, please? Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam navai vidu rishayo napi devaha na siddha mukhya asura manushyaha kuto na vidya dhara charanadhayaha. Translation. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles, nor can the demigods or leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, vidyadharas and charanas. So it's so hard to understand the Supreme Personality of God. He comes to re-establish spiritual principles. He comes to re-establish spiritual principles. How can you understand this? Now you can look at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text number 40. I think this must be the Vedo Narayana Sakshat one. Okay. Yamaduta Uchu, Veda Pranahito Dharmo, Dharma Stat Viparyaya, Vedo Narayana Sakshat, Swayambhuriti Shushuma. The Yamaduta is quoting this verse, great verse. That which is prescribed in the Vedas constitute Dharma. The religious principles, and opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraj. So if we can see, Vedas is Aja, he's unborn. Aja, Vedas is Aja. The Vedas are transcendental, they're eternally existing, and those Vedas are none but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're none but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we understand these points. We understand these points from the light of knowledge given to us by the previous acharyas. That's how we understand the knowledge. If we don't, then we're in trouble. We're not understanding what Shabda Brahman is. Shabda Brahman, this is Krishna himself. Transcendental sound vibration is Krishna himself. That's why Krishna is in Bhagavad Gita, Machita, Madgata, Prana, Bodhayantas Parasparam, Katayanta Shamam Nityam, Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Krishna himself says this in the Bhagavad Gita, that when what do the devotees do when they come together? They come together and they glorify Krishna. They talk about Krishna. Machita Madgata Prana. They exchange what's in their hearts. And what is in the devotees' hearts? Yeah. Krishna is in the heart of the devotees. Dharmam Tasak, what's this? Dharmam Guhyam, was it? Tarko Pratishta Shutayor Vibhinnam Nasa Rishir Yattamatam Nabhinnam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhaya. Right? Dharmasya, this is very secret. Where do you find it? The knowledge of Dharma is very hard to find. Where do you find it? You find it in the hearts of the Mahajas. Mahajano Yena Gatasa Pantaha. You find it in the heart of the great Mahajas. That's where you find it. Mahajano Yena Gatasa Pantaha. So we understand that these things are very hard, but this is present in the heart of the devotee. It's present in the heart of the devotee. And the devotee can transmit this transcendental knowledge. If you even read the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Kashyapa has to impregnate Aditi with, basically Lord Vamanadev, he has to go from Kashyapa's heart into Aditi's womb. The Bhagavatam says that Kashyapa, through transcendental mystic samadhi, could understand that the Lord entered. He entered his heart and he transmitted the Supreme Lord into Aditi's womb. Prabhupada specifically makes a statement that the transference of the Supreme Lord from Kashyapa to Aditi was not some exchange of bodily fluids, which is usually happens in the material world, but it's a completely other transcendental process. He's transferred from the heart of Kashyapa into Aditi's womb. So, the great devotees, Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayantas Parasparam, this is very important. They're able to give whatever is in their heart, they're able to impregnate. That is why a bona fide disciple goes to the spiritual master. What does he do? Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. He goes up to the spiritual master and inquires from him about his topmost benefit. Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. What is the topmost welfare activity for me? Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. So when such an inquiry is made, the spiritual master says, pleased by the sacrifice of the disciple. When he's pleased by the sacrifice of the disciple, he is able to transmit and impregnate the disciple's heart with Vedic knowledge. He's able to impregnate within the sincere and bona fide disciple the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So we should understand these points. This is a very important point to understand. The Supreme Lord is being impregnated into the hearts of the living entities. It is very, very amazing. It's very ecstatic. That's why you can pull up Bhagavatam chapter 6, chapter 16. Sorry, Canto 6, chapter 16, verse number 51. Over here, it is stated, whoops. Okay. Aham vai sarva bhutani bhutatma bhutabhavanaha shabda brahma param brahma. Shabda brahma param brahma mamobhe shashvati tanu. All living entities, moving and non-moving, are my expansion as separate from me. I am the supersoul of all living beings who exist because I manifest them. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations like Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. This is the Gaudiya flavor, my friends. This is the Gaudiya flavor on the Sanskrit in there. And I am the supreme absolute truth. These two forms of mine, namely the transcendental sound and the eternally blissful spiritual form of the deity, are my eternal forms. They are not material. It's amazing. Krishna himself is saying, I am Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. That's amazing. I am Om. Pranava sarva vedeshu, shabda ke paurusham nishu. Krishna himself is stating this. I am the Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Right? So it's amazing. So when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, we can think of this verse. It's amazing. It's supreme. The purport is really amazing, okay? And we can read it. The science of devotional service has been instructed by Narada and Angira to Chitraketu. Now, because Chitraketu's devotional service has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by performing devotional service, one advances step by step. And when one is on the platform of love of God, Prema Pumurto Mahan, he sees the Supreme Lord at every moment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, when one engages in devotional service 24 hours a day, teṣāṁ sadata yuktanam pajatam priti purvakam, in accordance to the instruction of the spiritual master, his devotional service becomes more and more pleasing. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is within the core of everyone's heart, speaks to the devotee. That's amazing. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama payantite. Chitraketu Maharaj was first instructed by his gurus Angira and Narada, and now having followed their instructions, he has come to the stage of seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. Therefore, the Lord is now instructing him in the essence of knowledge. The essence of knowledge is that there's two kinds of vastu or substances. That's why the Bhagavatam speaks of what vastu? Avastava vastu. Right? We read this in the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaita vota paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vasavam atra vastu shivadam. Ved is vastava vastu. The Bhagavatam speaks about the real vastu. Vastu means, what does vastu mean? Substance. Vastava means real. Avastava means or eternal. Or avastava means temporary. Therefore, the Bhagavatam speaks about vastava vastu. That's why when we should understand transcendental knowledge, understand what is the vastavatva of this vastu. Is it eternal or is it temporary? Is it vastava or avastava? What is it? What is the nature of this vastu? What is the nature of this object in front of you? That is what we have to see and understand. And when we are able to discern this, then we are finally freed from the demoniac consciousness. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, a symptom of a demon is one who cannot discern, who cannot discriminate. What does he say? Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidurasuraha nasocham nabichacharon satyam teshu vidyate. He does not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. He is unable to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. And how do we know what is right and what is wrong? How do we know? According to what? According to what the newspaper says, according to the radio? The Shastra, Tashma Shastram Pramanam te. Shastra is the ultimate Pramana. Karya vyavastito. You do everything according to Shastra. So, one is real, and the other being illusory or temporary is sometimes called non-factual. One must consider these two kinds of existence. You must. The real tattva or truth consists of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, as say in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a longer purport. But we can understand these points. It's a very, very simple points, easy points to understand. Because ultimately, the form of Krishna, transcendental form, the transcendental vibration in these books, they're all vastava vastu. They're all eternal. They're all transcendental. And you see, in the Mood and Mission, there's a very ecstatic section which speaks about how every associate of Lord Chaitanya has been given a particular service. Right? Vasudeva Datta was given the service of giving the Antar Pantaha to Raghunath Das Goswami. He gave his Bahir Pantaha, the external path, to Rakeshwar Pandit. And he gave, Rupa Goswami was given a particular task. And then Sanatana Goswami was given a particular task. All these devotees were given a particular task. But Srila Prabhupada was given the unique service of actually liberating the entire world with Krishna consciousness. So there's a certain section of the breath of Mahavishnu. It's 7:15, right? Oh, okay. So there's a certain section of the breath of Mahavishnu which is accessible only to Srila Prabhupada. That breath of Mahavishnu had its transcendental purpose. That's the breath, that breath of Mahavishnu. Like Srila Prabhupada is saying, Krishna speaks to that pure devotee directly. So if we understand this point, and that is why the last part, Prabhupada says, whenever there is glorification of the Lord, it is understood that Vedic mantras are being rightly vibrated. So you should understand that when we are going and we were trying to distribute these books to people, we're trying to distribute these books to all people, whatever we are saying, however we are trying to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is bona fide. This one may think, oh, how is this Vedic? Oh, you guys are simply going on the scene, simply doing it for money, simply doing it for this, simply doing it for that. But what are you giving them? You're giving them the vastava vastu. You're giving them the ultimate source of transcendental knowledge. And because of Srila Prabhupada's pure devotion, Krishna in his sweetest form is present in here. He is present in here. The very flood of love of God is available in Srila Prabhupada's books. Prati shloke prati akshare nana artha khoy. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishavanam Priyam. This is very amazing. We cannot understand how dear the Srimad Bhagavatam is to the Vaishnavas, how dear it is. And Srila Prabhupada's pure devotion is present in here. Therefore, this distributing of these books is Prem Sankirtan. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj says, what is the creation of Lord Chaitanya? Right? We hear so many things about Lord Chaitanya. What's the creation? Creation of Lord Chaitanya? What is this? What is the creation of Lord Chaitanya? What did he create? Then Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Chaitanyera Shrishti E Prema Sankirtan. It's amazing. Chaitanyera Shrishti. The very creation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Prema Sankirtan. So, when you're going and you're distributing these books, this is Prema Sankirtan, my friends. This is Prema Sankirtan. This is the creation of Lord Chaitanya. The creation of Lord Chaitanya is ecstatic mercy. This is Prema Sankirtan. This is it. Chaitanyera Shrishti E Prema Sankirtan. So we should understand this point. This is no joke. This is no joke. This is the real thing. And when we go on by giving people this transcendental knowledge, it is very amazing. And then the Supreme Lord will roar once more and enter the water to rescue the submerged earth. We can see although we are in the lowest realm of material existence, the Supreme Lord, being pleased with this kind of sacrifice, can pick us up from the lowest level of material consciousness to the highest level of spiritual consciousness by following the orders of his pure devotee. It is very important to understand. These books are Krishna, literally. These books are literally Krishna. So we understand this point. It's very, very important. Namaste Gauravani, Srimurte Dinatarine, Rupanuga Viruddha Prasiddhantatvantaharine. So I will say Namaste Gauravani. Namaste Gauravani. I offer my obeisances to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Namaste Gauravani. Srimurte Dinatarine. He is the very form of Lord Chaitanya's instructions. So this is our ecstatic, exalted line of spiritual masters. Parampara Jana Balamate. So we should take very seriously their orders to distribute books in open forms. And we should do it. And when we do it, we can get their mercy. We should never forget the creation of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Shrishti E Prem Sankirtan. So I'll end the class here. If there's any questions or comments, we could take them now. Anything from the men? Okay. Anything? Yes, Mataji.
Could you just expand upon that verse that Krishna carries what we lack? Because, we could see maybe a devotee might not be a preacher or so good at preaching, and they never will be that. So how is Krishna carrying that for them? You know?
So carrying what we lack doesn't necessarily mean that you carry what you lack. So if you pure devotee can carry Krishna carries what he lacks. So doesn't mean a pure devotee can go and just lift up a truck. No. And so it's you can say, oh, Krishna is a pure this person is a pure devotee. Krishna can carry what he likes, right? So you can give him the strength to pick up a truck, or you can give him the strength to pick up a rock, or a big rock, or something like that. But we understand this in terms of what Srila Prabhupada explains to us in this purport. We can see, can you go Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verse number 22, purport? Should understand Bhagavad Gita, not Bhagavata. Yeah, 9:22. Okay. So, purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering the other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization. So that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to the material condition of life. Kshema, this is the point, refers to merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down into a miserable life. So that's what it means, that Krishna protects your Krishna consciousness. It doesn't mean that, whatever you may lack. So a devotee may be very poor, he becomes a devotee of Krishna, and all of you lack $1 million, boom, here it is. It doesn't work like that. Krishna protects your devotional service. That's the point. Whatever you may need to become Krishna conscious, that's what Krishna gives you. If you have full faith in Krishna, Krishna provides for everything. Krishna provides for whatever you may be lacking in regards to you attaining perfection. Krishna removes all obstacles, whatever obstacles they may be. Krishna removes these obstacles. Bhakta paya bhujanga garudamani strailokya rakshamani. Krishna is riding on the back of the Garuda. He's riding on the back of the Garuda. He's just like a jewel. Just like a jewel, riding on the back of Garuda. And he pulls the devotee out from the struggle of material existence. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually gives this amazing point in the Tattenu Kampam Susamikshama verse. He says that every living entity is given his own customized suffering. Right? You can customize your car, right, the way you want. You can have spoilers and God knows what not on a car, big speakers, this paint, that paint, all these things, customized. So similarly, the material energy gives every living entity customized suffering. You see, it's customized suffering. So when we have our own customized suffering, then Krishna, when we fully surrender to Krishna, Krishna gives his customized mercy for us also. Because he's very merciful and he's not impersonal, and he understands that we are all personal, we are all persons. So he's very personal with us. So for our customized suffering, Krishna gives us customized mercy. Is that okay? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I guess, but like you're saying how Krishna removes our obstacles, but it seems like, I guess the material energy gives us obstacles, but isn't that also Krishna giving us obstacles? So, I just understand how Krishna's removing our obstacles, but we need these obstacles to be able to make advancement. I just don't really
Prabhupada said, Krishna never gives you a test that you cannot pass. That's the point. Okay. Heard that ugly voice before. So yeah, Krishna never gives you a test that you cannot pass. So we have to understand this. Whatever difficulties, obstacles, this or that we may be going, is like you have to go past that point in order to make further progress in Krishna consciousness. So again, if you put everything in God's hand, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if you put everything in God's hand, you will see God's hand in everything. Same point. Whatever difficulties you may be having, whatever you may be having, everything we are fully surrendering to Krishna. And then we can see Krishna's hand in everything. Is that okay? Awesome. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
So is it the faith in Krishna or the sincerity of one's practice that facilitates and invites Krishna to carry what we lack and preserve what we have?
Ultimately, it's up to his sweet will. It's up to Krishna's causeless mercy. And it's not like, 64 rounds, Chaturmas, sleeping for 2 hours every day, no Vaishnava Prat for sure. Let me What else? Yeah, I'm not going to be no matter how much this guy annoys me, I'm not going to say anything. This, and this, and then by 7/28, September 3rd, Krishna should give me. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Krishna is up to his sweet will. It's up to his sweet will. Sometimes you may be struggling really hard to get a donation, and it may just completely fall through. And then sometimes you may just be driving, and then someone just tells you, hey, matter of fact, I'm going to give you so much money. You cannot quantify Krishna's mercy. You see, this is the point. You cannot quantify Krishna's mercy. Then anything could please Krishna. And then sometimes, we may say that's why, if we're smart, we go through Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada, I was listening to a lecture of his on Radhashtami, and he was saying that's why we go through Srimati Radharani. And anyone who approaches Krishna through Radharani, she says, oh Krishna, look at this devotee. He is a much better devotee than me. Please accept him. And then Krishna is obliged to accept. That is why Shri Guru Charani Rati Esayutama Gati. That's why if you please a pure devotee of Krishna, that is the best bang for your buck. No matter how much of a rascal you may be. Okay, at least for myself. No matter how much of a rascal I may be, no matter anyone, it's your safest bet to receive Krishna's mercy is to please Krishna's pure devotee. And Tama Krishna Maharaj was with Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, and there was this operation that Tama Krishna Maharaj had to go, and there was a debate between Tama Krishna Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada whether or not he should have this operation or not. And Prabhupada said, all right, you can have the operation. But then Prabhupada changed his mind, and he didn't want Tama Krishna Maharaj to have this operation. And he was coming to see Tama Krishna Maharaj, but then by the time Prabhupada reached, the operation was already done. Okay? And then when this operation was done, Tama Krishna Maharaj woke up and he saw Srila Prabhupada standing right in front of him, because Prabhupada wanted to come to stop the operation from happening. And then he told Srila Prabhupada, I had this dream of you. And he said, you were giving your report to all the previous acharyas. You're giving your report to all the previous acharyas about your preaching, and they were asking you, so how are the people you're preaching to? And Prabhupada told the previous acharyas that these people are very unqualified and all these things, and they have all these bad qualities. But they have one qualification. They do whatever I say. And that's their qualification. And then Tama Krishna Maharaj related this dream to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, that is correct. So, as Kali Yuga rejects, our best chance of getting this sweet mercy of Shri Gonata and Radha Krishna and Krishna Balaram and everyone is to please the pure devotee of Krishna. That is the best bang for your buck. And hey, I can back it up with Shastra too. Aradhananam sarvesham, Vishnu aradhanam param, tasmat parataram devi, tadiyanam tad archanam. That, yes, worship of Vishnu is the topmost. Aradhananam sarvesham, Vishnu aradhanam param. But what's more topmost, I guess, was higher than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of the Vaishnavas. Therefore, it is so, and we can say that Srila Prabhupada invoked the level of Guru Bhakti in his disciples that people could never imagine. How could they be so surrendered to do all these things for Prabhupada? It's inconceivable. But our best bet is to please the pure devotee. Is that okay?
Yes. I was pretty much just trying to understand. There's by the book table, by the sink downstairs, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj has his book, Pradopadesh, and it's like volume 2. So in the beginning of that, he's talking about how, well, actually, I just looked it up. So it says, do not expect justice in this Kali Yuga, expect injustice, accept the inevitable tribulations that we must face as Krishna's indication to us that we must practice devotional service with full sincerity so that we can go back to Godhead in this very life. So I'm just wondering, like, how is it seems like sincerity is imbued with, like, humility, which is easier to bring about Krishna's mercy. Like, Radharani is, like, super humble. She's putting everyone before herself. And then But then how does our faith become contaminated? Because one can have faith that Krishna's going to facilitate our book distribution, our cooking, our pujari service, whatever. But then we're, again, going and enjoying the result of that. And so how is our faith becoming contaminated and blocking our receiving Krishna's mercy for him to carry what we lack? And
Enjoying mentality destroys everything. Okay, so I should end the class here. Okay, but better not to have the enjoying mentality. If you have the service mentality, then we're good. Okay? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.